If you've been told that your blood sugar is a little high, or you've noticed that gaining weight has become easier and losing it feels almost impossible, insulin resistance may be the missing piece. Insulin resistance is extremely common after the age of 40, even in people who have never been diagnosed with diabetes. And the problem is that most people don't really understand what it is or why it happens. So let's start with the basics. Insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas. Its main job is to help glucose, or sugar, move from your bloodstream into your cells, where it can be used for energy. Think of insulin as a key, and your cells as locked doors. When insulin works well, the door opens easily, glucose goes inside, and your body functions smoothly. Insulin resistance begins when those doors stop responding properly. The cells become less sensitive to insulin. The key still exists, but the lock doesn't work as well anymore. As a result, glucose stays in the bloodstream instead of being used efficiently for energy. When this happens, the pancreas tries to compensate by producing more insulin. For a while, this works. Blood sugar stays in a relatively normal range, but insulin levels remain high. This state of high insulin is one of the most important drivers of weight gain, fatigue, and metabolic slowdown after 40. So why does this happen more often with age? One major reason is muscle loss. After 40, most adults gradually lose muscle mass unless they actively work to maintain it. Muscle is one of the main tissues that absorbs glucose from the blood. Less muscle means fewer places for glucose to go, which increases insulin resistance. Another factor is increased inflammation. Low-grade, chronic inflammation becomes more common with age. Inflammation interferes with insulin signaling, making cells less responsive. This inflammation can come from poor sleep, chronic stress, excess body fat, or long-term exposure to processed foods. Hormonal changes also play a role. As we age, hormones that help regulate metabolism shift. This includes changes in growth hormone, sex hormones, and cortisol. Cortisol, the stress hormone, raises blood sugar. When stress is constant, insulin resistance becomes easier to trigger. Sleep is another critical piece. Even one night of poor sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity the next day. Over years, chronic sleep disruption has a cumulative effect on blood sugar, control, and metabolic health. Now let's talk about how insulin resistance shows up in real life. Common signs include increased belly fat, especially fat that feels harder to lose than before, fatigue after meals, strong cravings for sugar or carbohydrates, brain fog, and feeling hungry again shortly after eating. It's important to understand that insulin resistance is not a failure of discipline. It is a biological adaptation that happens gradually. Your body is trying to protect itself from excess glucose, but the strategy eventually backfires. The good news is that insulin resistance is highly reversible, especially in its early stages. Let's talk about how to improve insulin sensitivity in practical, realistic ways. The first and most powerful tool is movement. You do not need extreme exercise. Simply using your muscles helps pull glucose out of the bloodstream without requiring as much insulin. Walking after meals, light strength training, or any regular physical activity makes a measurable difference. The second tool is protein. Meals that include adequate protein lead to slower rises in blood sugar. Protein also helps preserve muscle mass, which improves insulin sensitivity over time. The third is reducing refined carbohydrates and liquid sugars. This does not mean eliminating carbohydrates completely. It means being mindful of portion size and frequency. Liquid sugar, such as soda or sweetened coffee drinks, is especially damaging because it overwhelms the system very quickly. The fourth is sleep. Improving sleep quality is one of the most underrated ways to improve insulin sensitivity. Better sleep lowers cortisol, reduces inflammation, and helps regulate appetite hormones. The fifth is stress management. Chronic stress keeps insulin levels elevated. Even simple stress-reducing habits, such as breathing exercises, time outdoors, or consistent routines, can improve metabolic health over time. And finally, consistency matters more than perfection. Small, repeated habits are far more effective than extreme changes that cannot be sustained. Insulin resistance does not develop overnight, and it does not resolve overnight either. But when you understand what is happening inside your body, you stop blaming yourself and start working with your biology. Your body is not broken. It is adapting to age, stress, and environment. With the right approach, you can restore insulin sensitivity, improve energy levels, and support long-term metabolic health after 40. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, subscribe to Metabolism Matters for clear, science-based guidance designed specifically for your metabolism after 40.